Alright, hello everybody, Friendly Red here, back after a brief break to talk about some more new game releases. We're nearing the final quarter of the year, and the releases are really starting to ramp up in anticipation for the holiday season. There's plenty to go over for this 9th month of 2025, both with regards to highlighted releases and honorable mentions, so it's best to get right into it. Before we begin though, gotta throw out the usual disclaimer. Please keep in mind that release dates are always subject to change, and what's presented in this video may be out of date by the time it is posted. There's already been quite a few delays of some early September releases during the production of this video, for a reason that will become evident pretty soon here. Anyways, let's talk about some new video games, shall we? September begins with quite the monumental release, one that we've all been anticipating and waiting on for so long now. This ain't no Silk Post. This is the real deal. 6 years on from its initial announcement, Hollow Knight Silksong will truly, really, finally be launching on September 4th. Yep, this game right here is the reason we've already had 6 delays of games that were releasing on or around Silksong's newly announced release date. The sequel to 2017's Hollow Knight, Silksong has us take control of Hornet to explore a new, vast kingdom filled to the brim with secrets to uncover, obstacles and platforming challenges to gracefully maneuver through, and plenty of new foes and bosses to overcome as well. The original Hollow Knight was a masterclass Metroidvania, with some truly outstanding artwork and music accompanying the desolate and haunting land you find yourself exploring, and Team Cherry is looking to deliver the goods once again with Silksong. Even with the very limited snippets of the game we've seen, it's clear to see that they've not lost their touch, and if anything, they've upped the ante further, delivering an even more detailed and rich world to get lost in. The game also looks to control and flow much more smoothly than the original, which can be attributed to us playing as Hornet this time around, who is much more acrobatic, agile, and experienced than the Knight was in the original. There looks to be so much extra flair and momentum in every movement we see Hornet make. And if it's this satisfying looking to watch, I can only imagine that the game will feel immaculate to play once it's in our hands. I'm fully expecting this to be an absolute slam dunk from Team Cherry, and I'm so stoked to finally be able to play their next masterpiece. It's been a long journey building up to the release of this game, and it's been one I've been happy to be a part of and experience. I don't think I've ever seen another game in my life have the same kind of community and engagement surrounding it before it even releases, and I'm not sure we'll ever see something quite as insanely amazing as the kinds of posts, content, discussions, and more that happened for the past 6 years over on the Silksong subreddit and other sites and forums across the internet as a whole. So rejoice, fellow Skongers, fellow Silk posters, doubters, and believers. Remove your clown makeup and clear your mind of the Silk sanity that has driven us all these past 6 years. Silksong is finally upon us, and its release shall herald the end of our long journey to this point, and usher in the beginnings of another. Although, thinking about it now, I'm actually a bit concerned about what a post-release Silksong subreddit and Silk posting is gonna look like. Maybe keep that clown makeup on standby, actually. Hollow Knight Silksong will be releasing on Thursday, September 4th, for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series consoles, Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. The next day, just a little under a year since they released the excellent remake of Silent Hill 2, developer Bluebird Team returns with a wholly new game for us, known as Chronos: The New Dawn. Right away, I've got to comment on the heavy Dead Space vibes that this project brings with it. Bluebird Team's never really gone into spacey, sci-fi horror with their previous games, so them seemingly taking some inspirations from one of the best sci-fi horror games ever made is enough to get me interested right away. A slower, weightier movement and gunplay mixed with dark, derelict environments feels properly Dead Space. Not to mention the monsters roaming around resembling shambling corpses, capable of reconstructing and merging with others that may be around them to become even more fearsome. It's pulling some inspirations from other survival horror greats, but also doing quite a lot of unique things of its own, too. The blend of Eastern European cityscapes, mixed with more futuristic tech and infrastructure, it certainly helps it stand out. Not to mention that we've also got time travel mixed in here as well, with the game seeing the player swap between the past and present. According to the game's website, the past era that you'll explore takes place in 1980s Poland, sometime before a cataclysmic event occurred, which led to the eventual desolate future that you'll also be exploring in-game. It mentions the goal of traveling into the past is to extract key individuals, so I would imagine by doing so, you'll perhaps be able to stop the impending cataclysm that turns the future into the dark and spooky wasteland that it is. Time travel stories can be tricky to pull off, but I'm certainly intrigued by the premise. I look forward to seeing how it all plays out. The remake of Silent Hill 2 Bluebird Team delivered last year was fantastic. so I'm feeling pretty confident in them delivering another great survival horror experience with Chronos. It's certainly checking a lot of the right boxes for me, with those Dead Space vibes and intriguing sci-fi setting and story premise. I'd probably be giving this one a go as soon as it's available, but considering Silksong releases just a day before it, it'll have to wait a bit longer. I suppose it works out though, as I can just save it for October and play it during the most appropriate time of the year for games such as it. Chronos, The New Dawn, will be releasing on Friday, September 5th for PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. A bit over a week later, the 15th sees the release of LEGO Voyagers. This game had a pretty quick reveal to release cycle. Only been a little over 3 months since it was unveiled during Summer Game Fest, and now it's almost in our hands. I'm certainly not complaining, as I much prefer these kinds of quick announcement and releases for games, and have gotten pretty used to them over the years thanks to Nintendo. Anyways, LEGO Voyagers comes to us courtesy of Lightbrick Studio, developers behind another fancy-looking LEGO-based puzzle game from a few years back called LEGO Builder's Journey. I remember seeing some coverage about it when it released, but I never played it myself, though it always impressed me just how authentic the individual LEGO pieces appeared in that game. While it was seemingly received well enough from those who played it, it was also a pretty small and short experience, with some stating it felt more like a tech demo than a fully fledged standalone release. Thankfully, it seems Lightbrick took any feedback and criticism seriously, as their new game here looks to have much more charm, whimsy, and a proper sense of adventure in it, evident from just the first few frames of the game we've seen so far. Rather than being a single-player, stage-driven puzzler like Builder's Journey, Voyagers is a cooperative, 2-player adventure, with you and a friend taking control of small one-by-one LEGO pieces, setting out into the world together, and solving puzzles along the way by combining up and building different structures and contraptions to continue on throughout the game. I suppose it is still possible that the game is divided into stages, but even if that is the case, the environments here in Voyagers look to be much more expansive and complex than the small, diorama-like puzzles you traversed in Builder's Journey. We've not seen a lot of footage for this game, but the little we have seen, along with the idea of the game alone, is enough to sell me for this one. A puzzle game where you get to solve said puzzles using you and your friends' imaginations, combined with the endless creativity offered up with what you can build with LEGO pieces. Not to mention that Lightbrick is once again absolutely nailing the look of LEGO pieces in a digital space here, as the material work and lighting is undeniably impressive. I've probably stated this numerous times across my videos at this point, but co-op-driven games are some of my favorite kinds of games out there, and especially in recent years, we've had some absolute bangers release, with titles like It Takes Two, Split Fiction, Repo, and Peak, to name a few. I suspect and hope that LEGO Voyagers will be joining those juggernauts at the top of the co-op charts, and I'm excited to give this a go with a friend once it releases. Also, big kudos to the devs for utilizing a Friends Pass system with this game, much like Hazelight does with their titles. If you don't know, this means that only one player of the two participating needs to own the full game, while the other can just download the Friend Pass version of the game for free and join the full game owner session that way. LEGO Voyagers will be releasing on Monday, September 15th for PS4, PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Four days later, the 19th sees the release of Trails in the Sky First Chapter, a highly requested remake of the very first entry in the long-running Legend of Heroes / Trails series of RPGs. The series actually comes to us courtesy of Neon Falcom, the same developers behind the Ys series of action RPGs, which I've talked about a bit on the channel before in the past. I've yet to really get familiar with the Trails games, but I've been aware of them for a bit now, even before I started getting into Ys, thanks to one of my friends who's a very big fan of them, and is no doubt stoked for the remake here. And yeah, I gotta say, even without knowing next to nothing about the series, this remake is looking right up my alley. The world looks so colorful and lively, and the combination of real-time action combat alongside traditional turn-based battles in one game looks like a lot of fun to engage with. It reminds me of last year's Metaphor ReFantasio, which also had a combo of real-time hack-and-slash combat, which you could then use to engage the turn-based system, similar to what we're seeing in First Chapter. It also helps that the new, fully 3D characters and animations look spectacular, and not just in the effects work and actual movement and execution of various abilities, but the way the characters themselves animate and engage with the battles themselves. There's so much detail and personality throughout it all, which really helps show just how much care has been put into this remake, and it's a huge step up from the original game, based on the comparisons I've seen. Another neat tidbit worth mentioning is that, from what I understand, all of the original English voice actors of the main cast are returning to reprise their roles, which is pretty awesome to see, and should hopefully make the long-time and returning fans happy, provided they enjoyed the original English performances. Based on everything I've seen, it looks like Falcom has done a great job remaking the Trails game that started it all. I certainly hope the existing fans are looking forward to it, as well as the series' newcomers who'll be starting their journey into this beloved series. I should also mention that there's a demo out for the remake, so if you want to give the game a go before committing to a purchase, you have that option available to you, and any progress you make in it will carry over to the full game, should you decide to pick it up. Trails in the Sky First Chapter will be releasing on Friday, September 19th for PS5, Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. You probably know the drill by now. We've got some other releases to quickly go over happening this month, albeit ones that I don't have as much to say on, or are just a bit lower on my radar than the highlighted titles we already went over. Going back to the beginning of the month, Hirogami launches on September 3rd. This is a new 3D action platformer coming to us from Bandai Namco Singapore, and I'm really digging the aesthetics of this game. The characters, environments, and enemies are all made up of origami. And it's not just a cool stylistic choice. You'll be able to utilize the malleable and folding properties of origami to transform into different forms throughout the game, which will help with solving puzzles and platforming challenges, as well as with the dispatching of any enemies you run into. I was wondering if this game may also see a delay, given its close proximity to Silksong's release, and wouldn't you know, the devs actually put out a statement during the writing of the script, which confirmed they are sticking to their originally announced release date of September 3rd. And you know what? I respect it. Just as I do the developers who decided to move their projects a little bit away from the funny bug game sequel. I'll for sure be playing Hirogami in the near future, and it'll be out on PS5 and PC. Next up, on the 15th, we see the 1.0 launch of a game that's been in early access since 2022, that being none other than Little Witch in the Woods. Speaking on Silksong related delays again, this was actually planned to launch on the 4th, and the very same day Silksong releases, but the devs decided that might not be the best move for the game, and moved it ahead by a little under 2 weeks. Again, I respect the decision, and the accompanying artwork that was posted alongside that announcement is some top tier meme material. I actually played a bit of this game back when it released into early access, though I don't remember too much about my time with it, and I haven't played it since. Still, I'm glad to see it's reaching the finish line, and if you enjoy cute and cozy life sim games, I think you'll want to check out Little Witch in the Woods. Also, the witch hat you wear in the game can talk, which, I don't know, I think that's pretty neat. This one will be available on Xbox One, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. September 19th houses a trio of honorable mentions, with the release of Toa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree, and the early access launches of both Rataton and Jump Space. I've already discussed Rataton and Toa before in my Reds Radar for July and News Peruse on Summer Game Fest respectively, so I'll keep what I want to say on those brief. Toa continues to look like a fun, isometric, action-heavy roguelike, with great character designs and equally great 2D artwork and illustrations throughout. Plus, you can buddy up with a friend and blast through the game in 2-player co-op, which is really the way I'd want to play this one. As for Rataton, I already know that game is good fun, as I've dabbled in the demo release for the game earlier in the year. It was originally going to launch into early access back in July, but got delayed to give the developers more time to implement the overwhelming amount of feedback they received from players of said demo. The delay was unfortunate, but we're gonna get a better game out of it, so I'm not complaining. And similar to Toa, Rataton can also be played in a cooperative setting, though with it supporting up to 4 players, which again is how I would prefer to play this one. Jump Space is the other early access launch for the 19th, and it's a game that's been sitting within the depths of my Steam wishlist for a while now. I haven't been actively keeping up with its development leading up to early access, but it looks like a solid first-person shooter mixed with spaceship piloting, combat, and exploration. And again, like with all the other September 19th releases, this one's got co-op support, and I do quite like the idea of managing a spaceship and getting into cosmic shenanigans with my friends. I've no doubts I would enjoy all these games, and I certainly want to play them all at some point, but it's really going to come down to me and my friends' combined interests and availability, which does sadly put them a bit lower on the radar. Here's hoping I'll get to experience them in their full co-op glory sometime soon though. Toa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree will be out on PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Rataton Early Access will be out on just PC, and Jump Space Early Access will be out for Xbox Series consoles and PC. Nearing the end of our honorable mentions, Silent Hill F launches on the 25th. After greatly enjoying both Silent Hill 1 and the remake of 2 last year, I'm certainly open to play more, and everything I've seen and heard about F has me feeling pretty good about this wholly new entry in the series. It's cool to see the usual Silent Hill staples applied to a completely different part of the world than what we've seen from the franchise, and based on the trailers and screenshots, it's quite a beautiful looking game. I don't really know what's going on with the heavy focus on red spider lilies, or the enemies seemingly all being dolls and mannequins, but I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I hope this one lands just as well as the remake of 2 did, as I'd love to see the Silent Hill revival streak continue for as long as possible. This one will be out for PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. And closing out the honorable mentions, Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles launches on the 30th. This release serves as a remaster of the spin-off tactical RPG, which originally launched on the PS1, offering up improved graphics, fully voiced dialogue, gameplay and difficulty adjustments, and much more. I've never played it, or any of the other Final Fantasy Tactics titles that released after it, but I know many people love them, and that a remaster, re-release, collection, or a new game entirely has been requested for quite some time now. Tactical RPGs aren't exactly my favorite kind of RPG, but I enjoy playing them every now and then, and given how popular the FF Tactics games are, I'll probably check out this remaster. I do quite like the visual style of the game and its character designs, both in its classic and enhanced options available in the remaster, and this remaster is being helmed by Creative Studio 3, which is the same internal development team at Square Enix, responsible for Final Fantasy XIV and XVI, which I just think is neat. This one will be out for PS4, PS5, Xbox Series consoles, Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. And thus ends another report of games on mine radar. Quite a lot this time around. It's months like these I really wish I had more time and money to spend on games, as there's so many interesting, high-quality titles releasing. Platforming, survival horror, RPGs, and more. September stands out in my mind as one of the strongest and most varied months of game releases in 2025 yet. Sure, the actual, finally happening, 100% for real this time launch of Hollow Knight Silksong is a big part of it, but even beyond that, there's plenty more to play later in the month, which is awesome to see. Here's hoping all our wallets can survive this packed month of September, and that those console and PC storefront servers survive the incoming tidal wave of purchases and downloads they'll be hit with once Silksong releases on the 4th. But, with all that being said, I think that'll do it for this video. If you made it to the end, thank you for watching. Your continued viewership and support is greatly appreciated. Hope I was able to entertain, inform, and perhaps interest you in some upcoming games you may not have known about. And last, but certainly not least, as always, I'll see you next time.